Now we're streaming. Now we're doing things together. Now we're streaming, but it's kind of funny that you're here today doing things. Alright. So I got sound, I got video, I gotta post a stupid thing on the thing. My channel is where I want to go, I guess. Guys, I'm gonna continue work on Drawerings. Welcome to the newest segment called Loki Dawers Drawerings. Guys, I'm gonna continue work. And there it is, sound is working, cool. So I'm gonna post this up on Facebook. Fache. Hey, what the Fache? You know what I mean? This guy over here. And we're gonna draw some stuff. Whoa, we've already got that many people? Christ. Hey, Loki Shire. Hey, Nixes. Hey, Hubble Bubble Pop. Hey, Shen. Hey, Lolbit. Hey, Colleen. Hey, Ferdamsil. Karen. Oh, it's Karen with Karen's name. That's great. Hey, Harry Potter Girl. Hey, Lorraine. Hey, Chris. Hey, any last words? Sorry, any last words? I know it's been a while. Hey, Izzy. What's going on for, hey, Anissa? What we're going to be working on today is a token for a D&D game that I'm partaking in. And I'm making a spell token for my cleric. This is the Guardian of Faith token for whenever I decide to cast it. What is it? Let's draw. That's not spelled right. And yeah, it's just a thing that I'm doing because I like to play D&D with my friends online, and we use these little tokens, and I've made different tokens for everybody's characters, and now I have to make a token for the different things I can do because I just found out I had a bunch of spells I didn't even know about. So, you know, do with that what you will. This isn't necessarily like a thing where, you know, I'm encouraging you guys to get creative with me. Am I frozen? What's going on here? I'm doing alright, lolbit. I wish I could play D&D, but I can't find a group young enough that my parents will let me play with. Yeah, I gotta admit, though, it's probably not a young man's game, or a young woman's game, maybe, in your case. Hey, North Merciful Burn 9. Northman Spellbound 9? Northman Spellbound 9? Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, I'm working in Adobe Illustrator. As you can tell, there's a lot of very, like, shiny things happening here. They're kind of very sterile looking because the drawing style in Illustrator is typically not as brushstrokey as it would be in Photoshop. So yeah, we're just gonna take it nice and easy. You're gonna see me twiddling around with a lot of things, and it's gonna go pretty slow, but whatever. So glad you started streaming and couldn't decide whether I wanted to watch while sewing my Loki dress. Well, glad you're here. Have you played Fortnite? I have not. I've seen advertisements for it, but I don't get time for much gaming, especially now that I've been trying to draw more. You can't see me, Discorded Soul. Plus I don't think I'll be good at it. Hubble Bubble Pop. It's not about being good as much as it's about telling a story. You know, there is typically a way to, like, win, but the great thing about D&D is you don't need to necessarily do anything specific to win. You just kind of do the thing that's creative, and typically people enjoy that. Oh, I'm glad Leslie liked it. I've used Adobe Illustrator before, but I prefer Photoshop too. I also do most of my artwork in Photoshop. Yeah, I mean, I like Photoshop, but I like the sort of, I don't even know how to phrase this. I like the modularity of Illustrator. It speaks to my sort of If I make a mistake, how will I ever fix it in Photoshop? I can't, control Z that many times in Photoshop if I want to fix something that I did wrong, a half an hour ago. Whereas with Illustrator, everything's sort of compacted into like just kind of really easy to edit format. Not easy to edit, I shouldn't say that. It's a cataloged format, I guess. And so you end up spending a lot more time on any given part of it because you can perfect it. I guess it's an OCD thing. Maybe it's just OCD is what we're talking about here. Does this night design have anything to do with whether your line of work at your job? No. This is D&D stuff. My job stuff is colorization. So it's taking black and white footage and colorizing it. And it is just... What on earth? How did that get below that? Oh, jeez, these guys. Yeah, it's taking black and white footage and putting colors onto it, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't. This and this, I want these two below there. Perf. Cool. I may actually widen this out a little bit. Don't do that, guys. Come on now. The problem is I'm also using a very old version of Illustrator, and man, they did not put a lot of thought into how things are selected. You gotta really get real specific about where you put your cursor in this version of Photoshop. I'll have to look into it more, maybe find a group who plays it or something. You could always just join a virtual tabletop app like Roll20 and randomly join a D&D game. Preferably one where, it's explicitly stated that you're a new player. But there's a lot of rules, but if you find a cool and patient enough DM, they are, you'll probably end up having some fun. And maybe just play for 2 or 3 hours, because a lot of times it can go on for weeks and months. Hey Chris, we're drawing a D&D token. And that's what I'm doing, because, that's it. That's all we need to be doing. I also have made this backwards, so that's not good. So if you ever see, I don't even know if you guys can see a white cursor versus a black cursor on my screen, but that indicates whether or not I'm selecting a single point or an entire shape. Yeah, that's a little better. I like that stuff. Wink. Yeah, alright, that's more symmetrical. So, yeah. Oh, hey, Mean. Hey, girlfriend. This is a program called Adobe Illustrator. Hey, Kaio. Oh, man. Kaio making an butt cheek ice cream cone, parentheses, question mark. Is drawing on a computer a lot harder to do than drawing old-fashioned way with a pencil and paper? I mean, it's definitely more time-consuming, but, I mean, it depends. If you, it's a lot more intuitive to draw with a pencil and paper, but, you need more and more and more supplies in order to get all the colors you want, in order to get the amount of detail you want, in order to have the paper you want. You got to keep stocked up on paper when you're drawing with pencil and paper. So it's in some ways better, in some ways worse. It depends on what you like. I got my dog a Thor costume. That sounds great. I like that. I know there's a lot of rules. Take some time to get the hang of things. What was the name of the app? You could just go to Roll20. I don't know if it's Roll20.com or .net or Roll20.org or something. But type in Roll20 into your search bar and you'll find it. And I think you can just create a profile and it'll show you hopefully some options where you can just join a newbie game, intro to D&D maybe. I don't know who would ever be running that, but I'm sure it exists on the internet. But certainly get into it. I've been enjoying it. And if you find yourself playing with people that aren't friendly, get out of there. Because, as is my sort of ethos with all online gaming, if you're not enjoying the company, then you don't need to be doing it at all. Come on. Oh, man. Such a pain in the balls sometimes, selecting these points. Bye, Izzy. Miss you. Well, Colleen, I know you guys have been missing the streams, so I've specifically been thinking about doing these. And, you know, just for a half an hour at a time, I'll jump on and I'll just be drawing some stuff, which I want to do anyways. And I'll get to talk to you guys, and then I'll probably jump off after a half an hour, keep drawing, and then you'll get to at least be here and experience something with me. And, you know, it doesn't depend on any sort of, like, schedule or anything like that. And it'll be a time for us to hang out. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, you can't see that I'm kind of making adjustments in a separate window right now. But it's happening. I wonder if I could actually leave that in there and then come at it like, I guess it would be a reverse, like this. Okay, and then I would go like that. Right? That's not that bad. That's not so bad, guys. I don't want that to be happening either. Why did I do that? I want bing, 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 bing. Okay, so that's on the edge. Right, okay. Yeah, I don't want that either. Okay, so I'm doing this. Guys, I'm figuring it out the same way you are. I'm gonna get a little more dark area. How's that sound to you? Yeah, that's good. A lot of rules, take some time. I've missed your streams. Thank you. So how was your Easter holiday yesterday? I send you a lot of love and hate from Argentina. Question mark? I don't know. Oh, well. Well, much love to you as well, Kaio. Easter was cool, Chris. I honestly didn't really celebrate Easter, to be honest. Like, we just kind of, we ate. Amada and I just had a nice dinner together. And what else did we do on Easter? Oh, we went to a dog birthday party. That was what we did. So that was cool. Amada dog sits sometimes for a little baby dog named Kylo. And, Kylo, had a little birthday party for himself. Well, his mommy and daddy had one for him. And, it was a real cute little time he had. I like that little Kylo guy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. You know what I mean? Celebrated doggy birthday. Do you listen to music while you draw outside of live streaming? And if so, what kind? Anissa, yeah, I usually either listen to, I don't know. I've been listening to a ton of Soundgarden lately. Soundgarden and, and Audioslave and Chris Cornell. Just because, oh man, he's such a great musician, or he was, I guess. Oh, man, makes me sad. But yeah, I listen to a lot of that, and some dubstep. Been listening to dubstep quite a bit. This is no good. How does that look? Let's reverse that. But I'll also listen to a lot of audiobooks. I just started listening to The Furies of Calderon, I believe it's called. And it's okay. It's going alright so far. I'm interested. My buddy recommended it to me. He also recommended... He was like, yeah, there's this guy. He writes these books, and one of them's about, like, what if all the fairy tales were real or whatever. And I went and searched the books, and I was like, oh, my friend was talking about the insanely popular Dresden File books. So I put those on my Overdrive app, and I'll be kind of listening to those over the next few months, weeks, I guess. And I don't imagine I'm going to get too into it, but you never know. I didn't think that about Harry Potter, and I love those Harry Potter books, man. Those books were dope. What's the best con you've been to? I'm a cat or a dog person. Hold on. What inspired you to want to draw and become an artist? How did you become a great designer? One other thing, what makes you want to keep doing this hobby? I guess I had a buddy in elementary school that collected comic books, and he would draw, and I was always a little envious of him. So I started drawing, and it was kind of just one of the only things that I could ever do at school that would occupy my mind during slow times. So I drew like Wolverine and Spider-Man a lot. And then I kept doing it through high school, and my teachers were like, oh, you should go to college for art. And then I did, and I realized I shouldn't have. I should have gone for writing, because that's what I actually like to do. Turns out, who knew? What makes me want to keep doing it? Well, now it pays the bills. So here I am, kind of being an artist sometimes. Who knew? Again, life surprises us sometimes. I did not become a great designer. I'm a mediocre designer at best. Cat or dog person? I like both. I'm a mammal person. I like cats and dogs and little bun-buns, little gerbils. I'll pet a guinea pig. Oh, man. I'll talk to an otter if I ever get a chance. Man, there's a lot of good... what is it, a capybara? I'll meet one of those guys for sure. What's the best con you've been to? And were you dressed as Loki while there? Best con I've been to... No, there's so many cons I've been to and I didn't get time to enjoy. Right now my favorite con is Strategicon. It's a gaming convention in Los Angeles. It's 3 times a year, and I like going and just playing games. Do you have any interest in getting some toys from Toys R Us before it finally closes? I went during this weekend and bought a few things. Admittedly, I'm sort of over the toy collecting phase of my life. Like, I used to collect a lot of McFarlane toys, Spawn stuff, but I just don't have the space for it or the inclination for it anymore. There's a lot of cool looking toys out there that I like to look at, but I don't think I'd really want them in my house anymore. I'm like kind of past that phase in my life, if that makes any sense. So Toys R Us especially, where it's like, Mattel and Hasbro and all those sorts of things, like that's what we got, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about any of that stuff. Maybe I could go get a bike. That'd be cool to have a bike, but even then I don't have anywhere to put it. Soundgarden, your music tastes are so cool. Who do you feel been Loki? Melanie, I need you to run that through Google Translate one more time. I don't know exactly what that question means. That book was made as a bet. It was supposed to be a mix of Roman Empire and Pokemon. That makes a lot of sense, actually. The Furies being the Pokemon. Yep, I'm already seeing it. You got like the Earth types and the Wind types and the Grass types or whatever. Yeah, okay, that's funny. Roman Pokemon. That's hilarious. And then there's just one idiot who can't harness the Pokemon stuff. Speaking of Dungeons & Dragons, have you ever watched the original Saturday morning D&D cartoon back in the 80s before? I have not. I've heard a little bit about it, but I've not actually seen it. How's Thor? I just spoke to ThorTV yesterday. We had a long conversation about getting by in today's workaday world. You know, he's like me, getting by. We're sort of both like looking for better opportunities all the time. And we even spoke about, like, we wish we could still do as much of the ThorTV and Loki Hates You stuff that we used to do, but at the end of the day, it doesn't pay the bills. And so we both kind of had to, like, hunker down and really do worky work. You know what I mean? You guys get me. Are you going to see Avengers Infinity War opening night? I'm going to see Avengers Infinity War on the 25th. Oh, shit. Due to my job, I get to go to an advanced screening, so I'll be seeing it a couple days early. I promise I won't spoil anything for you. How do you feel when I dress as Loki? It's warm, and the costume's getting a little tight. I've gained a little bit of weight, so, it's a little itchy sometimes if you don't wear the proper undergarments. It's definitely limiting in flexibility, so I can't raise my arms above my head a lot of the time. It's heavy after a while, especially while wearing the helmet. It gives me a headache while wearing the helmet. So, yeah, that's how it feels physically, if that's what you're asking. If you want to know, like, how I feel emotionally, I mean, it's slightly empowering. Like, you know, it's good. It's a good feeling to, like, have people be like, oh, look at this guy over here. He's dressed like a guy from the movie. Like, you know, people recognize me, and that's kind of a cool feeling to have. But all in all, it's warm. It's a warm feeling. It's a feeling of, hey, maybe I can stand a little closer to this air conditioner. That's the big thing that I feel most of the time. So, I hope that answers your question. Well, at least KB Toys are making a huge comeback to help fulfill the... Is KB still... I thought they went out of business a million years ago. You two were two working gals. That is exactly right. Have you ever gotten hugs from fans? I get hugs from fans all the time. Yeah, that's cool. I get hugs. You know, hugs are cool. No bigs. I gotten some creepier stuff than hugs too. That I don't encourage, but certainly walk up, introduce yourself, say, "Hey, let's do a hug," and I'll be like, "Yeah, that's fine." That is if we ever meet each other. You know, I'm not promising you hugs, and I'm not gonna, like, you know, come to your house to give you a hug, because that's a little bit of a monopolization of my time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean. Yeah, that works. Cool. Have you ever read the Dragonlance Chronicles? I have not. Dragonlance I never got into, so... I tell you what, I was just recommending this on the Twitch stream yesterday, was the Garth Nix books. I think they're the Old Kingdom series. It's about a bunch of wizards, anti-necromancer wizards. And it's a fun read. It's kind of the swords and sorcery sort of feel to it, and I recommend it if you're gonna go and get a book from the library. Miss that classic jingle. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. Yeah, it is kind of the end of an era. That is crazy. Oh man. Well, good. I'm glad you mean at cons, Discorded Soul. Like, because a lot of people want me to travel to a lot of places that I cannot afford to get to at this point in time, especially with any frequency. And no, I will not be in Seattle for the newest. I know there's a Tom appearance somewhere, but you gotta understand, I truly do not care. Because it's like, people think I'm trying to, like, get all over the country to meet Tom Hiddleston, and I'm like, I don't really care. He can be wherever he wants to be, and I encourage him to do so, but I am not going to be somebody who's spending a ton of money to get to where Tom Hiddleston is. And there's nothing wrong if you are one of those people, but you won't see me there. I'm sorry about that. Sorry. Practicing my Canadian right now. KB is coming back. They just got a new owner who bought the rights and is bringing them back from the dead. I wonder how he's going to do any better than Toys R Us. I'm actually writing a story called The Sacred Sapphire. What do you think it's going to be about? Maybe a magical stone of some kind? Have you ever had a creepy fan experience? And if so, do tell. I don't know. I mean, I've just had a couple of people who... People think, like, if they get overwhelmed with, like, emotion sometimes, that it's going to be somehow flattering. So I've had people kind of start, like, crying, or laying on the floor in, like, some sort of strange appeasement ceremony that they think will get a rise out of me, but it won't. I've had people kind of touch my butt a little bit. That's not cool. I don't like that kind of thing very much. What else has people done? You know, it's just people being a little kooky, that's all. just people being kind of weird about it, and I don't need that in my life. And that's not necessary. I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this. Why? Why is this happening? Are these the same color? Oh man, where's my swatches? Yeah. Open brush library. Now I gotta open a new window. Give me swatches. Now I need to open swatch library. Give me my default Kamaik. Is this it? Gradient. Yeah, let's put it there. Okay, so this. Oh, I know. I need a separate window for gradient. I want this to happen. Nope, that's like literally the exact same color. Okay, so if I go like this here. Boink. Even that's not that great. Let's do this. Okay. And then one of these. Does that make any sense? Pardon the facial expressions. I remember you mentioning once visited a fan an invitation. I think she ended up wanting you to escort her to an event, the prom. That could have been... Yeah, I mean, people have different ideas about what a costume is for, and sometimes they think it's for me to, like, be a clown for them. So I try to stay away from those opportunities. And sometimes people approach respectfully about stuff that I just don't want to do, and I say no. And, you know, there's equal probability for either one of those events to happen. But, yeah, there's been some stuff that, like, people have been like, hey, I know this is weird for me to ask, but would you ever do this? And sometimes I've said yes, and sometimes I've said no. Obviously, I haven't done any of the weirder ones, but obviously, you know, I have done some of the less weird ones, if that makes any sense. Okay, so there we go. Have you been watching any new shows? I've been watching the new Jessica Jones, enjoying it, I like that. Any movies you're looking forward to? Infinity War, that's going to be cool. Isle of Dogs, I haven't seen Isle of Dogs. I saw Ready Player One, though, that was pretty fun. Yeah, you know, I don't know what the deal is with this version of Illustrator that I'm using, but man, it just deletes my swatches every time I reopen this file, so I'm just real pissed off about that. Do people who see cosplayers as only the character upset you? Do people who see cosplayers as only the character... it doesn't upset me, but it definitely gets old to, like, have people try and roleplay with me when I, like, didn't agree to that. Like, I don't mind people stepping up. Like, an unannounced hug is more welcome than an unannounced, like, someone, like a Thor cosplayer, like, physically being threatening towards me. Like, I don't want to do that with anybody at this moment or ever. So, that stuff kind of goes up my ass real quick. Or people who are like, you know, just treating me like an asshole because I'm in a costume. It's like, you know I'm not the guy, right? I don't want to do this with you. What else? Loki for Hire. Have you ever seen Rick and Morty? I have. I enjoyed it. I once had this person try to touch my inner thighs during a field trip, and I smacked the crap out of him, and then they called me a female dog. I ain't allowed to cuss, and I got fed up with it. Yeah, definitely don't let anybody lay hands on you that, you know, unwelcome stuff is not cool. And you gotta make it known, and then get out of there, and then make sure that person gets what's coming to them, because bad touch is a real thing. I think this live should have more support. I don't know. I just say, oh, well, you know, I don't want 1 million people here. Because let me tell you what happens if 100,000 people are watching this. 1, I don't get to keep up with the comments. 2, people start commenting on what I'm actually working on. And I don't really want that either. I'm happy you guys are here, and I'm happy you're not acting like art critics. for what it's worth. I like saying okie dokie Loki. Yeah, people like saying, I see you're keeping it low key. That's the real eye roller that I get a lot. Would those pics with that Grandmaster cosplay last month consider one of those weird moments that you were referring about? No, not at all. Actually, I had to convince those two Grandmaster cosplayers to let me take that picture. I was like, hey, listen, can I convince you to put your hands on me in a way that most people would consider unwelcome? And they were like, please describe the situation you're talking about. And I was like, well, I would like you to do this pose with me. And then you know, they were like, all right, I could see that happening. And I was like, cool, then we have an accord. Behold the splendor. And then we ended up getting the picture out of it. So that's nice, you know what I mean? Does that work? Yeah, that works. Good for you, Chris. Low key, yes. It's not fun. That's not even a good joke, guys. The low key joke is not that creative or funny, and I refuse to acknowledge it as a goodness. Low key bullshit. Bullshit. By the way, if anyone here is opposed to swearing, please dissociate from this stream immediately, because I will be swearing at my leisure. I'm drawing online while you're live streaming. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're doing something creative. I'd like to be a little bit of inspiration towards someone, at least. I still have my Loki cosplay sweatshirt. I'm actually wearing my Loki cosplay sweatshirt, as well as my Smash Brothers t-shirt, which someone was kind enough to send a long time ago, a couple of years ago, but it's one of my favorite shirts that I wear sometimes. Ah, man. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to select this. Do a little bit of selection on my screen. Selecting like a thing is what I mean. Selecting up a shape, then do a thing. Then I'm gonna select another thing. That's a real old song. You should not know about it. I want to do this. What do you got to offer? Not a whole lot. So I'm gonna take you. Drop a new dark color in there. Yeah, it's too much. Okay, so that's cool. Pardon me while I talk to myself. I just have to get... Let's get another shade in here. How's that look? Not great. Maybe if I do like this one? And then this one over here? Yeah. Yeah, that's alright, I guess. You deselect that. See what we got. See, now I got this problem, though. Just give it a little sheener. Charlie Sheen. Snituation, if you know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Bill is bilingual. English and profanity. That is absolutely correct. I thought you were going to say Spanish. Yo hablo solamente un poco de español. Who's better, Sebastian Stan or Chris Evans? I'm personally, I guess, more of a Chris Evans person. Sebastian Stan is a very much an acquired taste. He's got a cult following, guys, and I'm not in that cult. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but Chris Evans is Captain America. Let's be honest about who's got the better situation here. Looking good so far. Do you visit any museums? I know that song. Museums. When was the last time I went to a museum? Yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll go to a museum. We went to an art museum a little while ago. My buddy Casey and my girlfriend. We went to an art museum and we saw some pictures of stuff. I thought it was enjoyable. don't spend a lot of time in museums though. So what are you gonna do? You know, sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes you gotta call them like you sees them, and I sees them as paintings that I don't need to visit all that often. But yeah, I enjoy an occasional museum. I'm definitely not somebody who's like, oh, we simply have to go to the museum again today to Buffy, or whatever my museum-going friend's name is. In this case, I'm going to say Buffy. Or Teddy. You know, like, Teddy's a pretty good museum-going name. These little dots, man. You just can't get a hold of them sometimes. There you go. Okay. Do you visit any museums old enough to know? I have to admit, I'm practically new. Do you have a social network to support you or something? No, I'm not like sponsored or anything, if that's what you're asking, Kyle. I'm just me. I mean, I've gotten a lot of support from you guys. There used to be a time when I would just get like stuff all the time from you guys. And, you know, that was a really cool time. But here, I'm just trying to touch base, have a little conversation with y'all every once and again. So the moral of today's cosplay story: always ask for permission when you first take poses for pics with other cosplayers beforehand, so we always follow the golden rule: cosplay is not consent. Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I think some people take it a little far. I don't think, if you see somebody standing there taking 1,000,000 photos with 1,000,000 people, I don't think you need to stop and ask them if you can take a photo with them, because it's better to just jump in there, get the photo, and get the hell out of there so the next person can jump in and get the photo. Like, I just don't have a lot of patience for people, like, partaking in unnecessary cordial stuff where it's like, oh, okay, will you grant me the honor? And just fucking do it. Like, just to take the picture. Like, it's gonna be fine. Makes me nuts. How do you have the patience? Well, Amada, it's, you know, it's slow goings. But at the end of the day, I can change anything I want, and that's what's important. For anyone who's wondering, since I'm not actually working on anything, like, at all, if you want to see the under layer here, how can I do this? Forearm. Right? Okay, so I'll reveal the under layer momentarily. Oh, forgot to do the sword. So that's the original drawing, and you can actually see I've moved the arm up. Once I reveal the drawing again, her hand is down here in the under drawing, which made me realize, oh, wait a second, her far arm is like twice as long. I guess it's not that bad, as long as you take a look at the angle of her shoulders. Anyways, I moved her other shoulder up and her whole arm up. It's fine. So that's the pencil drawing that I had to email to myself and then reintegrate. So now I have to draw the whole hand, which is kind of a pain in the balls, but I'll get it done eventually. If you had to choose one, which of the Loki's children would you choose to be real? I like a wolf. Prefer a wolf over a snake, and over a horse, realistically. Yeah, I like a big dog. That'd be cool. Chris Evans was also the Human Torch, right? If anyone ever remembers that. Terrible movie. Yeah, I guess. Museum snob voice is great. I sometimes get people who talk as guests at the Natural History Museum. I'm a volunteer there. Well, that's really cool, Hubble Bubble Pop. Like, I bet a museum is a really interesting place to you know, to be. Bucky Barnes is awesome. I honestly think just as misunderstood and similar, just like Loki. Yeah, I mean, I'd give actually Winter Soldier more credit than Loki, because he's had a lot more bad things done directly to him, and I can relate to that as far as like a, you know, he's been literally brainwashed. Loki's just, in my mind, spoiled. But, you know, that's me. I'm a new subscriber and I really enjoy your content. Also, nice art, dude. Thanks, Skullsy. Skullsy Bones, that's a cool name. I like that. How long are you going to be live? The plan was to be live for a half an hour, but we've already been at it for 40 minutes, so... I mean, I probably won't be on much longer. I'd like to get moving a little faster on this drawing, which means we'll probably need to start listening to some music and just concentrate. But, yeah. I have patience for a lot of things. It's just the illustrator isn't one of them. What type of knight is that? This is the Guardian of Faith spell from Dungeons & Dragons. It's described as... I can actually probably read it to you. Screw you. Oh my god. Do I have my binder? Let me read you Guardian of Faith. Ugh. It's a level 4 cleric spell. Guardian of Faith. A large spectral guardian appears and hovers for the duration in an occupied space of your choice that you can see within range. The guardian occupies that space and is indistinct except for a gleaming sword and shield emblazoned with the symbol of your deity, which is Palor, and don't you forget it. Any creature hostile to you that moves to a space within 10 feet of the guardian for the first time on a turn must succeed on a dexterity saving throw. The creature takes 20 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. The guardian vanishes when it has dealt a total of 60 damage. So it's basically a melee turret that sits on a space and deals damage within 10 feet of itself. The spell description has it as nondescript aside from having a sword and a shield, but I'm making it a little more descript, if you don't mind. I went to one con of pretty shoddy cosplays. My dad wanted me to take pictures with real cosplayers, but I was too shy, so I didn't. Oh man, that's too bad. Never be shy around cosplayers. They're always happy to have a picture taken. Loki tends to be a spoiled child. Bucky went through a lot in his life. Yeah, he did. You know, he fought for America, and then he got, unfortunately, brainwashed by the Russians. That sounds similar to anything you've been going on lately. It's a pretty nice place to spend time there. It's difficult to handle kids sometimes, especially inside the Butterfly Pavilion. Yeah, children are a touchy subject, because it's like, what are you going to do? Yell at a little kid? Treat them like an adult? You can't. You gotta tread softly and hope their parents are responsible for them. How often do you want to do art streams? Well, I mean, I'd like to jump on for potentially once a day and just say hi to you guys. So, I mean, you'll get to see this thing progressing slowly but surely each day. And then I'll do some work after the stream, and I'll do some when I can't actually dedicate the time to streaming. So, I'd like to have this done by Saturday. That's my goal. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. Do you know that Bucky's codename is changed to White Wolf, according to the Wakandans? That's cool. I mean, yeah, that makes sense to me. So, guys, on that note, I had mentioned working on this a little after the stream, and I'm going to be doing that right now. And then I'm going to drop out and then start working in earnest with some music playing that won't be dinged by YouTube for being licensed. So I hope you have a good rest of the night. And if you want me to do some non-art streams, feel free to send anything you want to the P.O. box, a letter, a drawing, whatever you feel like. And, you know, I'll open it up on the stream, and that'll be what we do during the stream. Do you know that Bucky, okay, depending on how long gods live, wouldn't Loki be like that angsty teen boy going through rebellious stages? I may be wrong, but Bucky is like that beaten pupper you need to care for. Yeah, Chris, the thing is, Loki chooses to murder things. So, you know, that's rough. Like, even if it's like an angsty teen who chooses murder as his hobby in order to get his job is not in any way redeemable in my eyes. But, like I said, we'll talk about it more maybe tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow night I won't. Tomorrow night I'm going to be working late, so maybe Wednesday. Let's see about that. So, guys, have a good night, and I will talk to you soon. Just behave yourselves, and be good to one another. Okay, I'm going to stop streaming button. Yeah, hopefully. We'll see you again soon. Bye. Okie dokie, thank you, Bill. Another successful stream, especially taking this and showing us your artwork. Nighty night. Good night.